All right, what is up, Iona? Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to the Guys Talking Ball show. Hope everyone had a nice long weekend. We got some fun topics today. We're going to discuss I'm going to do a personal segment. Start with my top 5 tier rankings for who I want and the probabilities for who will be the Jets quarterback week 1 of the 2023 season. Then we got a bunch of post All-Star break thoughts. How you feeling about this one?
It's gonna be a good one. Gonna be a good one.
There's a lot of exciting NBA discussions. I know it seems like from the months of September to pretty much the start of February, it's just all football. But
Even now, it's
basketball is
still too early.
actually seems like for the first time in a while it's going to be open. Whatever, we'll get into it. So we're going to start off with who will be the new quarterback for the Jets, and we're going to discuss. I have a probability meter of probability and likeliness of it going to happen. So I'm going to go through certain quarterbacks and I'm going to discuss the impact they would have on the team and the probability of the situation happening. So obviously, my number one pick, and I would assume, now I'm not speaking for all Jets fans, but I would assume most Jets fans would agree with me on this. It is Lamar Jackson. The 2019 NFL MVP winner is coming off back-to-back injury-plagued seasons, but I think this kind of goes, it's like a rule of thumb for sports in general. If there's an opportunity to acquire a MVP, a previous MVP, and someone who has very, very much potential to win another MVP, I think you have to go for it. And we'll see what happens. Obviously, we know franchise tagging just started yesterday. I believe the opportunity to franchise tag a certain player is from, I think it was now until like March 7th. So we'll see what happens with that. I mean, the only situation I could really see is we see this now a lot in the player empowerment era of sports where I mean, it's very likely, especially that Lamar Jackson is his own agent. It's very likely they franchise tag him, can't come to a long-term deal, and either a trade or Lamar Jackson sitting out for training camp is a very likely situation that could arise.
Yeah, I could see him not even playing at all if he gets tagged.
I think so.
I can
I
like totally see that.
the franchise tag is a weird thing because it's good for the teams, and this is why I think actually the NBA might have to implement something like this with how much players leave. But the way franchise tagging, it just I don't know. I don't know if it's some situations it's like holding a player against their will where it's like you don't want to sign with us, but we have the opportunity to basically force you to stay here for at least another 1 or 2 years. I believe the max you can do is 2 years
I
in a
think
row
it's
with
two. It's
franchise
two in a
tags.
row.
That was like the
Yeah,
Kirk Cousins situation.
that was like Godwin, right? Didn't he get tagged twice
Godwin
or
got
something?
tagged twice, maybe once. I don't know. But Lamar's number one. He's 26. Stetson
Yeah,
Bennett's 25. Those were funny.
yeah.
Lamar's
Well, like we did
26
our
years old, won an MVP at what,
our redraft.
23?
We did a redraft. Lamar was up there because of his age.
It's nuts that he's 26. Obviously, the injury issues have been weird. And who knows if Baltimore even wanted to play him or he even wanted to play that bad during the stretch and for their playoff game at Cincinnati in the wild card. But Lamar's number one. Number two, I have Aaron Rodgers. Oh, I gave Lamar a 10% chance, by the way. So my percentages don't have to add up to 100.
These are your
Just every single
percentages
player, just envision every
out of
single
100. Out of
percentage
100.
is its own out of 100.
Right.
They're not all going to add up to 100. So Aaron Rodgers, I gave 28%. So Rodgers is one of my favorite athletes, but he gets weirder and weirder every time I hear about him in the news. So if you haven't heard, Aaron Rodgers is currently on a 4-day darkness retreat. Not sure when it started, but I assume it's ending soon, where essentially he told the Pat McAfee show that he sits in a room or a house, like a log cabin alone. I don't know if there's any books to read or if he eats, if he drinks. I really don't know what goes on. But basically, what he told Pat McAfee is that the future of his football career will be decided after the 4-day darkness retreat. And he probably will be partaking in some substances that I don't even know the names of or the spelling of it. Maybe we'll do how to spell what is it called? Ayahuasca. How do you think you spell ayahuasca? Call in if you know how to spell ayahuasca, but you can't cheat. So the three options, and these have been the three options for the last what, 3 off seasons Rodgers has done this whole
Oh
shindig.
yeah.
So it's obviously return to Green
Doesn't even
Bay.
turn heads anymore.
Yeah, no, I honestly, that's why I'm not even getting my hopes up. So it's return to Green Bay, option 1, play for another NFL team, option 2, option 3, host Jeopardy.
Yeah.
So those have been the last 3 years of options for Aaron Rodgers, and I do think it will end in the same result. He's stirring up some media for absolutely no reason, but I don't care how rich you are, and I don't care how your morals are, or the stars have aligned for you to go on your way and go on to new pastures. Your football career is over. Whatever weird thing he's going to say. But he has a guaranteed $50 million check coming to him if he plays football next year, and he's not going to pass up on that. So I do think it's going to be the Packers, and I guarantee you that if we are here in this studio in a year's time, we will be having the same debate about where Aaron Rodgers will be playing football in 2024. So Aaron Rodgers, my second favorite option, but the likelihood of it is only 28%. I gave it according to my calculations. Derek Carr, number 3. I gave it a 40%. It seems to be, as of now it's still young in the whole Derek Carr race. It seems to be the Jets and the Saints have been the two most talked about teams now. They're only 2 teams he visited for.
Mhm.
But according to sources some of the sources, you can't get much closer. The sources of Derek Carr's meeting with the Jets actually came from his brother, David Carr. I think he's some analyst on some studio show. He said that the Jets and his younger brother had a very, very positive meeting. He had some dinner with Salah, Hackett, and I want to say Joe Douglas, the Jets GM, was there. And when it first came out, and you obviously the drop off between Lamar and Rodgers, and then you go to Derek Carr is pretty substantial. But it's not a hyperbole to say that the Jets had quite literally the worst quarterback situation last year. And I do think the team, even with a competent quarterback, I would even say average, not even above average quarterback, is a 10-win team next season. So I'm more and more in Carr by the day. 4-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
Career losing record. I don't really remember those Raiders teams, like pre-Gruden Raiders teams. I think it was like Jack Del Rio was their head coach, but don't really remember those teams that well. I remember he led the team to the playoffs that one year, and then Connor Cook played the playoff game, the wild card game, because I forget what happened to Derek Carr, whatever. 217 touchdowns, 99 interceptions. Very positive first meeting. I mean, he doesn't become an MVP or a top 3 quarterback if he moves to the Jets. But in terms of the Jets' future successes, I think he would be a huge, huge plus on what we have now. And the more and more I hear positive thoughts and positive reviews about him from his meeting with the Jets, I am more and more inclined on being totally fine with Derek Carr becoming our quarterback week 1 of next year. All right, let's keep moving along. Number 4, I have Jimmy G. So I was looking on Twitter today, and this guy on Twitter was verified, couple 10, 15, 20,000 followers, whatever. You won't get it, but I'm going to ask you to guess. He predicted Jimmy Garoppolo to go to the Jets, and this was his contract prediction for Jimmy Garoppolo. What do you think it was?
He predicted like when today?
Or he predicted the money the years and the contract he was going to get from the Jets when he signs. This was his prediction. What do you think his hypothetical contract was for Jimmy G and the Jets? Because it's nuts.
He's how old is he? Like what, 30?
2014 draft. Yeah, whatever. Late 20s, early 30s. 2-time Super Bowl champion.
Yeah, he's got more rings than Rodgers. I don't know. 2-year.
Got the years right.
30 total.
Yeah, that's where it gets crazy. So this
15 a year.
This random account on Twitter said Jimmy Garoppolo will sign for the Jets at some point this offseason for 2 years, $73 million.
Oh, 36 a year.
$36 million a year. And that is what that is what a middle of the ground quarterback is getting, which is nuts to say. Like Daniel Jones, I know we got a lot of Giants fans in the New York State area, but if you are not a Giants fan or not a avid Daniel Jones watcher, do not be surprised when he gets at least $28 million a year from whatever team if the Giants don't franchise tag him. Hey, Daniel Jones, quick sidebar, actually did fire his agent and is looking for a new one. Apparently, that just saw that on First Take this morning. So Jimmy Garoppolo, probably got the lowest ceiling out of all these quarterbacks I've mentioned. We know what he is, but I'm not.
He's a worse car.
He is a worse car, but he's also he is a less mistaken car. Now, his only chances as a starting quarterback came when Brady's suspension, and then as Kyle Shanahan as his head coach. But I do think he's a good quarterback, not even close to worth $36 million a year, which is just insane to even mention. But if that's the premium we have to pay, I'd rather go into next season with Jimmy Garoppolo at $36 million than obviously Zach Wilson at $7 million. I don't even think that's a debate. So that's the money these quarterbacks are getting. All right, so let's move on to the 5th and final option. It is a combination of Mike White, Zach Wilson, or any other backup level quarterback. I give this a 20% option, 20% probability. So dead last and the nightmare option would obviously be this one. So the Mike White hoopla that comes across, it seems like it's going to be a yearly thing now where he goes for 1 or 2 weeks of incredible performances. And I do fall into the trap because I think that's part of being a fan. If a player you like has a crazy performance, you're going to pretend and you're going to psych yourself into thinking this can happen every week. But he's not the quarterback of the future. I think that's pretty obvious. He's dealing with broken ribs. Seems like the team likes him a lot. He was better than Wilson for the time being. And then I don't even think we need to get into Wilson. We can do a whole podcast on how bad Wilson's been. Basically the worst rated quarterback since he's been in the league. And I know there are a couple of Jets fans that think he's gotten an unfair shake and he deserves another shot. But I mean, you're not a Jets fan in the slightest, but this team with a competent quarterback is a playoff team.
They are. I mean, they almost were last year without the quarterback. So yeah, no.
7-4 went to 7-10 pretty quickly. I try to forget about the last 2
That's what I
months
mean.
of
Like
the
if they just stayed on pace, I mean, of course it would have been a playoff team. But
so I wrote a list of other backup quarterbacks that if the first four main options fall through, and maybe you can add somebody else in there who you could envision.
I was gonna say Baker, but I saw you put that.
So that was what I had. I had basically the borderline starter, bad starter to backup level. I had Jacoby, Teddy Bridgewater, who was a Jet for a little bit.
Yeah.
Teddy Bridgewater went like 8-0 for the Saints that one. Brissett was really, I don't know about really good. He was good.
He was solid.
He was good for the Browns.
He was solid. Yeah. I think he
probably better than Watson.
Arguably, yeah.
And obviously, the money's different. You couldn't not play Watson.
He won that big primetime game against the Bengals.
Yes, Halloween game.
Yeah.
So the combination of Jacoby Brissett, Teddy Bridgewater, and Baker Mayfield, those are kind of the ones I wrote down. That would be really disappointing, especially with Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson both winning their respective position Rookie of the Years. There's a lot of offseason hype going into this team, and just adding any of the first 4 quarterbacks I mentioned would be awesome. And then for it to become a Zach Wilson or any of those other backup quarterbacks I just mentioned would really, really be disheartening. So those are my Jets quarterback predictions. Let's hope for the best. And now we will move on to NBA, where we have post All-Star break thoughts. Did you care for the All-Star game? Did you watch the All-Star game? Mac McClung. How about Mac McClung?
I watched the dunk contest and a little. What was the skills thing?
I didn't even know they still did the skills challenge.
And I did not watch the 3-point contest, even though that was in the middle. I just didn't watch that part.
So I guess we can talk about this at the end. I have another question for you. So I was looking up online. The article was NBA All-Star Game hits all-time low. How many viewers do you think the All-Star Game had?
Oh my god!
And I'm going to compare it to something. I mean, you want me to give you a little hint?
Yeah, I need like something to get like a range.
So last year's All-Star Game had 6.28 million viewers. That was the highest. So 6.28, it's down this year.
That was last year?
Last year's, 2022's. So what do you think this year's was?
2.5.
4.5. Lowest ever since whatever. I don't know how long they've been keeping those ratings. So in comparison, the NBA All-Star Game, which is supposed to be the biggest night or the biggest showcase of the NBA's talent for the entire season, had 4.5 million viewers. The god-awful NFL Pro Bowl flag football game, do you want me to just tell you? Or you want to guess? The NFL new form Pro Bowl had 6.5.
Really?
The flag football Pro Bowl game, according to, let me give some credit here, according to sportsmediawatch.com, had 6.5 million viewers. It had 2 more million. A flag football game had 2 more million viewers than what is supposed to be the best weekend of basketball for the entire year.
And the Pro Bowl's like notorious for like people not watching it.
Horrible.
And that's bad. That's bad on the NBA's part. I mean, putting in Utah,
yeah, they probably couldn't even drink.
Utah, and I think next year's in Indiana.
Yeah, and 2 are probably the most unfun cities. But like, if you're watching it on TV, you don't really care about the city.
Yeah, but I don't know. I kind of feel like
no. It
it was in Toronto. It was cool. Like Drake was there, and the
dunk contest was awesome that year.
I did watch dunk contest this year. It actually wasn't bad. I liked what was it? Was it Trey Murphy? Who was the one against McClung?
I didn't watch a second of it.
Yeah, whoever. It wasn't bad. It was entertaining. That McClung, it's funny. It's fun to watch him dunk. He's been doing it.
I understand the problem of it because I think Mac McClung has a career like 8 points in the NBA.
As he even, yeah, and he wasn't even on a team until
Yeah.
2 weeks before. He was on like the G League, and then he got signed by like the 76ers, I think.
Like, it's very likely that Mac McClung's career NBA highlight will be the dunk contest, which is fine for him.
Yeah, it's cool.
I
He
saw-
came out of high school as like a dunker. That was his whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I always knew who Mac McClung was because he had those crazy
Your
ball his
dunks,
life
yeah.
mixtapes when he was younger. It was crazy. I saw a stat on ESPN, whatever, Instagram. It was Mac McClung's career NBA earnings were like 100,000, and I think he got 150 for winning the dunk contest. So he made
You get
more.
paid for winning the dunk contest.
I guess that's the incentive, and that's probably what they're going to have to do. I mean, the stars don't really want to risk their brand. Like, the whole debate is obviously like the LeBron should have done it, and whatever. It's too late now. But like, if LeBron, I guess maybe he's afraid of his legacy and his ego. If he had a poor dunk contest showing, then I guess it would have. I mean, people would have probably roasted him for like a week, but who
Yeah.
would have really cared after that? So that was
Even,
All-Star
like
weekend.
people want Ja to get in it, and he won't do it.
Well, no, he's too busy doing other things. He's too
Well,
busy
yeah.
pressing people in the stands or whatever. So those were the All-Star weekend thoughts. Not anything too exciting. Congrats to
People hated the game.
Yeah, I
People
know.
were like, "This game sucks. Tatum's not that good." Like, he's stat pad. How you stat pad in an All-Star game? Like,
Yeah, the whole thing is stat padding. I think they're just taking.
there's
It
no,
was like a half-court
they're
shot
complaining
competition.
about the defense, but then like, there's never been defense in the All-Star game. So like,
I remember when they changed the format when they like did the whole like counting method instead of just quarters. Like, I think they played hard in the fourth quarter. And yeah, no, it doesn't really matter. But I actually think the stretch of the NBA season going down the rest of the regular season is going to be good. So
there's no football, so we kind of have to watch.
yeah, exactly.
We're forced to
Between
watch.
the gap between mid-February and like, at least for my personal interest, the start of baseball season is pretty rough.
Yeah,
But for a lot of people, it might be from now until September. So
well, the playoffs get fun.
yeah, I watch NBA playoffs.
I'm not the biggest fan to play in, but it does actually add more towards the end of the season. Is like, oh, like this team, like if you're one game out, it does add more entertainment to the end of the season.
Yeah, like LeBron having that opportunity is gonna be really cool to see.
Mhm.
So, all right, should you want to take us through the NBA? Take us through what you want to talk about?
Yeah. So the final NBA final odds to championship to win via FanDuel, we have the Celtics at plus 280, the Bucks at plus 430, the Suns at plus 450, Denver at plus 750, Clippers plus 1100, the Sixers at plus 1300, and you got the Warriors at 1900, Mavericks at 1600 for FanDuel. For some other books, I think it's a little bit more. The Grizzlies at 19 as well, and then you got to throw in the Lakers just for fun. They're at plus 5,500. So, who's your champion?
Milwaukee, but like Milwaukee's a boring pick.
I picked them too, though. But I mean,
They're the most
we have
trustworthy.
reason. We have exactly. We have reason.
They're the most trustworthy. I guess. Okay, so then instead of talking about why Milwaukee, what makes Boston not trustworthy? Because they haven't done it.
That adds to it. I just think Milwaukee's just better. Milwaukee would have beat them if Middleton wasn't hurt last year.
Yeah, Boston looked pretty good last year. I mean, wasn't the Heat also like one game? The Heat are also my sleep. We'll get into the East, but
I think the Heat. I'm the opposite on the Heat. I think the Heat are just not.
You don't think Kevin Love's gonna add a huge impact?
I actually think the Heat's the. I've never been a fan. I've always thought they're just very underachieved. I don't know. I never like get excited about the Heat. I never think they actually like win.
I mean, Pat Riley, for some reason, has that kind of a lure around him where like he's just going to be able to find something to like work. I mean, that's kind of what like. I mean, say what you want about the bubble, but that's kind of what happened that year. Like, just we're able to string a good couple series together, and like Jimmy Butler does turn into an absolutely insane basketball player in the playoffs.
Bam's I think he's up there for like defensive player.
All right, so if we both think the Bucks, then let's not agree with each other. All right, so who would be your second pick?
I would probably pick.
I'll go Phoenix just because it's interesting.
I was gonna go Clippers. I love the Clippers.
Why though?
I think honestly Westbrook being on that team could help him out.
How many playoff series has Westbrook won since Kevin Durant left?
I think
0.
I think that Westbrook's gonna be playing with a chip on his shoulder, and I think there's gonna be a lot less of like hype and expectations around him and the Clippers and obviously the Lakers. So I actually think it could be good for them. Is that even official? I don't even.
Yeah, no, he's on this.
Yeah, so like
I don't know. He's gonna start
They
playing.
didn't move though. The line didn't move. They stayed steady at plus
No, they should be like
1100.
1,500 now.
Yeah.
Honestly,
But I mean that's my best value pick too. The Clippers. That's my value pick.
I mean Westbrook was the odds-on favorite, right, to win Sixth Man of the Year.
Yeah. So, I mean,
So
yeah.
I mean, I
And I mean, the
guess
Clippers never had a true point guard either. I mean, I don't really think. I mean, Westbrook a true point guard. Like, I mean, I'm sure Kawhi will still be the main ball handler, but like, I mean, the other Bones, and they're not gonna. What are they gonna play? Bones Highland's gonna start,
No.
and they need a point guard, and they got rid of Reggie Jackson. Like, I mean, he was. I mean, I think Westbrook's a little bit better than Reggie Jackson. I mean, come on.
no, he's
I mean,
better than Bobby.
Yeah, he's an experienced player. I mean, obviously there's a lot of faults and a lot of stuff around him, but I think he actually. I mean, it's Westbrook. I mean, you know you're gonna get some bad stuff
Do
out
you?
of him, and you might get some good stuff out of him. I think with Kawhi and George healthy, like I said to you earlier, they have a 72% winning percentage when they're both playing. Is that gonna happen?
That's nuts.
Is it gonna happen if they're gonna be playing?
That's
the
what
playoffs
I was
together?
gonna.
That's the thing. If they're together, I think the Clippers are definitely my best value pick.
That's what I was gonna ask you. I was gonna ask you, give me a percentage of. You have to win 16 games to win the NBA championship. If anybody didn't know that, Kawhi and Paul George to win 16 games in the playoffs, and they both play every single game. What's the percentage of that?
Like
15,
30. I was gonna say
30,
like 30.
30. Yeah, 30 seems fair.
Well, I mean, like, I'm a big Paul George guy. Obviously, I like Kawhi. I mean, they were what was it?
The bubble collapse, and then the year after
Yeah.
that, we had the Mavericks. No, the Suns lost.
They
right?
beat him. The Suns beat him, but it was just George. So I mean,
That was when Kawhi tore his ACL.
That's what I mean,
Okay,
yeah,
and
so I
then
mean,
last year they get the pass because Kawhi was out the whole year.
I don't. Did George even play in the playing game? They were in the play-in.
I don't remember.
I don't even think he played in that.
Wasn't that the one where Pat Bev won? Or did they when he like took off his shirt and he like celebrated
Yeah,
so much?
and then they lost the game after that, or something. Something like that. But if they're healthy, they're my value pick. I want to see the Clippers succeed.
The funny thing about basketball is like how many teams can you play the if they're healthy card?
Oh, almost every contender is that.
And that's why I'm like kind of over that. And that's why I think we probably the main reason we both took the Bucks is like, well, Middleton needs to get back on his game.
Bucks are 27-14 without Middleton this year.
Wow. Drew Holiday, All-Star, right?
He was an All-Star, yeah.
Giannis is
They're 6-5 without Giannis. So
maybe they win the championship without Giannis. What you're saying?
there's six.
kidding.
No, I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying if Giannis is not there, they probably don't even win a game in the playoffs.
Now, that's why we're betting on Giannis because
You're betting on the player. You're literally betting on the best player. You're right. You're
and
betting
the
on the best player.
the team around him fits really well. Yeah, no, if there's one player in the NBA, you were like, I have a 7-game series, pick one player. Who's your first pick to win a championship? I'd probably both be Giannis.
They're fourth in 3 points made too.
Really?
So that means it's either Giannis dunk or 3, which
Who's
is
making
exactly what
threes
you
for
want in
them?
the league. They got Joe Ingles now too, right? They
do
got
have Joe
him. I mean, Middleton. You know, that guy's a baller.
Yeah.
He's a bucket getter.
Probably like a top 3 ugliest player though. like he looks like a fish. Middleton, yeah, no, I just needed to say that. Okay, so what do you want to go to next? Best value?
I picked. Yeah, my value pick was
the Clippers, and you went in depth on that. I picked
yeah.
the Mavericks just because it's fun.
I like it. I like the Mavericks. They're cool.
16 plus 1,600 to win the championship.
It's great value for
Now, it's funny because I just asked you the question of what's the chances of Kawhi and Paul George being healthy for that whole playoff run? What's the chances of Kyrie just being available for the rest of the season?
I mean,
you think he's going to stay?
That's not that much of a what if for them because I mean, Luka. I mean, he hasn't won a playoff series yet, right? I mean,
they beat the Suns last year.
Oh yeah. Besides that, it was
and they
like
won
2
one
Clippers or something like that. But yeah. So like, I mean, Luka can do it. I mean, they had Brunson, which obviously is great for the Knicks right now. But like, Brunson and Kyrie don't really compare. But I would feel way more nervous with my bet if like Kawhi was hurt than if Kyrie was hurt. If I was betting on the Mavericks and betting on the Clippers, I would feel way more safe that like Luka and that team could go a little bit farther, I think.
So you don't think Kyrie makes a big impact?
Oh, he makes a huge impact, and I think that's why it's a great value pick. But I feel like I feel like Luka, if he scores 50 points, they're probably not going to lose the game.
I mean, if there's any team it would happen to,
It would be
a
them.
Luka
It would be
Doncic-led
them. But
team.
I would feel way more safe with. Well, actually, I don't know now. I don't know. I mean, the Clippers did get some good guys though. They got Eric Gordon, who's like, not great, but I
back in
mean,
Los
these
Angeles.
guys, like a guy like him, like he'll be good for that team. Like if they're in the right situation, like the guys who were considered washed, they get good on these teams.
They're able to play
So,
their role, like how like
yeah.
Batum got bought out or whatever, and like Marcus Morris. But like they traded Luke Kennard for Eric Gordon when they basically do the same role, and I would highly assume that Luke Kennard has a better 3-point percentage nowadays than Eric Gordon. But the Mavericks, yeah, I mean, you're kind of hoping for basically the complete opposite of what will happen pretty much for the Mavericks end of the season. So instead of a Kyrie meltdown and a playoff semifinals loss, you're hoping that for some miraculous reason, Kyrie is all ball all the time, doesn't do anything weird, and him and Luka become the best tandem in the NBA, and they're able to go and make a run, which honestly, it's unlikely, but it's not inconceivable. And I chose the Warriors.
Yeah.
People are so quick to just write people off. I think you're forgetting. I know people don't think whatever Steve Kerr's a good coach, or that debate's been going on for a while because whatever Luke Walton led that program to many successes. That Warriors team will be just fine. I promise you. And maybe if they finish the regular season as a play-in team, I'll be a little more concerned. But Curry's had some weird injuries, but that team will be perfectly fine once Curry comes back. And even if they're a 6-7 seed to start the playoffs, I would not write them off. And to get them at basically plus 2,000, the defending champions at plus 2,000 is fantastic odds.
Yeah, I agree with them. I mean, they're 9th right now, but Curry's missed a lot. I hear Clay's not very good right now, but
he's been pretty bad since he came back. He goes off for like one game out of the 50, and you'll
pick
weird stuff.
Yeah, no, that's kind of disrespectful to do. The Warriors put them in that high, that low. I think
same thing with the most hated team in the NBA right now, the Grizzlies. They're a good team. They're just for some reason they're on a weird streak. I think they're like I think they're the worst team record-wise since the Shannon Sharp incident. They've been pretty bad since.
Yeah, didn't they lose like 7 in a row or something after that?
I mean,
there was one little streak that they had. I remember that.
I know what's his name has been out. Steven Adams has been out, but he's on the Grizzlies, right?
Yeah, he is.
All right, so
I didn't think about it too.
That's good for finals. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think we covered that one.
All right, go to MVP.
Yeah, this is where we differ here for sure.
Yeah.
So MVP odds was updated today from FanDuel. We got Jokic at minus 240, Embiid at plus 600, Giannis at plus 700, and you got Luka at plus 1200, Tatum at plus 1800, and then LeBron at plus 12,000. You got to throw in LeBron and the Lakers.
You saw what LeBron said. This next 23 games is the most important stretch of his career.
I mean, I wouldn't say that. I mean, well,
or
it's
whatever he thinks. His tweet from last year that said,
I'm not playing the playoffs. I did see that. Yeah, I did see that.
I'll never not make the playoffs again. He deleted.
He did that. I think that was a while.
It was a while ago.
Months ago, but yeah,
he'll count the play-in game if he makes the playoffs. So, but all right.
I mean, that's what their value's not. I mean, if they get into the play-in, I mean, plus 5.
I know
5,000 plus 1,500. I mean, that's pretty good.
The West is so jam-packed. I'm just over talking about the Lakers, so I wanted to pick something new. And Anthony Davis walks, and he's out for 3 weeks. So
I mean, they even lose with them too. So
yeah, that's weird. Like it was kind of funny. Like LeBron broke the scoring record. They lost to the Thunder, and God knows who the Thunder were playing. But all right, so let's talk MVP. You have the obvious pick, the boring.
I got Jokic. Yeah. I mean, it is his arguably best season.
Boring.
He's averaging. It is boring. He's minus 240 for a reason.
Normally, the right option is the boring option.
Yeah, it's true. But I mean, he's averaging like 25, 12, and 10. I mean, that's nuts enough. First in the West, the Nuggets finally look like a contender, which is different for them. It's always like, Jokic is going to lose in the first round every year. I mean, not really thinking that this year. At least I'm not. I mean, I'm not like the biggest.
What if they come up against the Lakers or the Warriors in the play after?
Yeah, that's where it could get tough. Them against the Lakers first round would be awesome. But Yeah, Jokic. Last one. Was Larry Bird. Do you
3 in a
know
row.
3 in a row? Do you know who else? There were 2 others. I didn't know.
I
I
would
didn't look it
assume
up,
Kareem since he
obviously.
won the most, right? No.
No.
Like 70s?
Yeah. I
Will.
think Will was one,
Yeah.
and then
There's someone else.
even older,
Jerry West. Bill Russell.
Bill Russell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Great fact.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I the voter fatigue thing. I mean, I agree. I mean, like we all have it. Like you don't want to see Jokic win it again, but I mean, it's the right pick. I mean, he's having the best season. I think he shouldn't have won it last year. I think Giannis should have won it last year. And then there was one year when Embiid was like the front runner for it, and then he got hurt, and that's how I think was that
I
Jokic's
thought that was
first, or was that last
year.
year? I can't remember now.
It's
No, I think it was Jokic's first year because I remember I got Embiid at plus 550, and I was like he's gonna do it. Like then he moved to like minus 200. I'm like he's like this is awesome, and he got hurt, and then Jokic won. I think it was 2 years ago.
probably was it a foot thing?
It was it was
Well,
something.
Embiid had the face thing, but that was the playoffs.
No, it was I think it was the foot. It was definitely 2 years ago. It was I think it was. I don't think Embiid got hurt last. Well, he probably did, but
No,
I
I
don't
know he's
think
hurt
it
in the
was.
playoffs, but I don't even know if it caught him out. No, Jokic is the right pick. The problem with voter fatigue, and you're right, and like it's not a good debate to be like, well, if you just scratch the other 2 MVPs, he deserves it, but you can't because it is
Yeah,
it is
you can't.
annoying, and it's the classic debate that if there was no such thing as voter fatigue, or if the NBA didn't want a new MVP, or the voters didn't want to vote for a new MVP, LeBron would have had
Well,
7, and Michael Jordan would have had 8. So
yeah, LeBron is. I don't know about now, but LeBron, that stretch, he was the most valuable player in the league.
that was from whenever
But
he
that's
won
not
his
how the award's
first to
based
like
off. Yeah.
probably Curry's unanimous year. It was pretty obvious
Mhm.
that LeBron should win every year. But you got to pick something new. So what else do you have on Jokic that solidifies him?
That was all the stats that I kind of put down for him.
No,
That's what
I mean
I've
he is
seen.
having his best season, and that's what makes it even tougher. And that's the voters' fault because the voters should have known Jokic was gonna have a better season the next year, and that's why they should have. They should
Yeah.
have made someone else because they should have known that Jokic only be better. And maybe little spin zone here. Maybe they won't vote for Jokic this year because he's going to even be better next year. They'll pick him next year.
Yeah, I saw an article. It was like the GM saying like, no way this guy wins 3. Like the percentage I think they pulled a lot of the GMs, and like they didn't even have Jokic on the list for who they think could win MVP. Like at the beginning of the season.
Oh, well.
I mean, I feel bad for Embiid though because I mean, any other year he probably would win MVP.
Same thing with last year.
Yeah.
So
That's my
Embiid,
value pick for him. I mean, if Jokic gets hurt, I mean, it's going to be Embiid.
Embiid is my pick in general, value and
I like Embiid. I want Embiid to win it. I like Embiid. I think he deserves to win an MVP. He's having an MVP caliber season. But
so Joel Embiid led the NBA in scoring last year, 30 points a game. Who's the last center to lead the NBA in scoring? Do you know?
last
Just think of the last dominant center.
Shaq.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shaq.
He's having 30. He's having 33 this year.
He's having
so.
a better season than last year. Kind of the same thing with Jokic, but Embiid
Yeah.
didn't win last year. Sixers are 3rd in the East. Embiid
Mhm.
is the best player on that team. I think the Sixers are a dark horse for the finals.
I would say they're looking like a threat this year. Harden's playing better.
He's shooting 53% from the field. What else do you have? 4.1 assists a game, and it's not obviously
His defense too. Jokic's defense is horrendous.
Maybe they'll give him Defensive Player of the Year as a little sorry gift.
Embiid averages like 2 blocks a game, I think, right?
I don't know.
Or one, I think like once he definitely averages. I think like maybe like 1.8. I mean, wrong on that, but
just what Jokic does and like passing wise and just like his brain wise, it's funny that like 2 of the 5 best players in the league today are like not known for their athleticism, which is like refreshing
yeah,
to
the
see.
centers. Everyone's like, "Oh, this is not a center league," and look what you got now. Giannis is arguably a center too.
Yeah, and it's not your traditional center. I mean, long are the days of the Dwight Howards ruling the NBA. You got to be able to shoot, and obviously you got to be able to kind of be the facilitator of the offense. But Embiid at plus 600 is very, very interesting. And obviously, we're not hoping for injuries, but if Jokic injury happens, then it's most certainly going to be Embiid.
Yep.
But then again, you're also talking about Joel Embiid, one of the more injury-prone players in the entire league. So you can't bet on him to stay healthy for the rest of the year.
True.
So, I mean, it is kind of boring that it's basically been the same 3 guys for the last 3 years. And it doesn't seem like, I mean, remember, there was like, what was that? It wasn't like the first month of the year, Tatum was favored.
Yeah,
The Celtics were so hot to begin the year. But I guess besides Tatum, I would assume for the next, 5-6 years, it's going to be the same combination of Giannis, Luka, Embiid, and Jokic.
Most likely,
Or
yeah.
like Ja Morant sneaks in.
Yeah,
there one
Ja
year.
could be in there, I guess.
Pretty boring.
Maybe Bronny.
Yeah, top 10 pick, Bronny James. Maybe we'll interview him, ask him how his high school basketball career has been going. So I mean, yeah, MVP is pretty boring. I mean, you have my value pick was Tatum just because I don't know if there's anything that's besides all the other ones we have on the board. I mean,
It's hard to pick a value pick here because I mean it's pretty obvious it's going to be Jokic.
Yeah, you're not
or
gonna have
Embiid.
much.
It's
You're not gonna have
between them
much.
two.
You're not gonna have much change at the top.
If we did this 3 months ago, then it would be a whole different.
Why?
Discussion.
Who's not on the list right now? That would have definitely been.
No, I
discussion.
think it would be the same list, but the numbers would definitely be a lot closer. That's what I mean. So like.
Well, that's why you never know, because in April we could be like, "Wow, I can't believe people thought Jokic was definitely the outright favorite."
Even like our championship picks, when Kawhi, gets hurt, and we're like, "Oh, I can't believe I picked him for my value pick."
Yeah, it's like you should have known. But you also, I mean, that's why you pick in value, because it's something that is more unlikely, but
hopeful pick.
Has a chance.
Value picks are always a hopeful pick.
All right, that's MVP. It probably will be Jokic, but I want it to be different because it's not as fun for us both to be like, yeah, Jokic. All right, cool. Next. So what do we have next? We have favorite underdog to make a deep playoff run. All right, you start us off.
I went for the East. I went with the Knicks. I mean, I haven't watched too many Knicks games this year, but I mean, Brunson's. I mean, every time awesome. I go on Instagram, I see the NBA posts. It's like Brunson scored 30. Brunson scored 40. I mean, if him and Randall are playing well, I mean, we all know the Knicks home crowd is fun. Maybe steal an away game. Come back home, win the home games, maybe make a little deep run. I could see the Knicks doing it.
Or the Knicks might have home court advantage.
That too, yeah. If they, they finish in
God forbid the King of Broadway comes though.
They finish in a good spot. They could.
The coach killer.
I could. I could definitely see the Knicks making a little bit of a run. That's my East pick.
With the Knicks that worries me, and this was the same problem they had in the 2021 playoffs, and obviously Brunson is a huge deal and a huge plus for this type of run. Between Julius Randle being figured out to a T by the Hawks that playoff series and Tom Thibodeau's lack of changing anything.
Yep.
Thibodeau, I guess, I mean, the Knicks are doing well, but it's just the way he coaches and his stubbornness and his style is very bothersome. And that would be only downfall. But then again, they're not favorites. They're a sneaky playoff team. I could see it happening.
They can't close. They need to close games too.
No,
that's when their biggest downfall last 3 years now.
No, they don't.
They can't close games.
Brunson
it can't happen in the playoffs.
No, but Brunson, the impact he's had on the team.
They've had some good wins this year. I mean, they play up. I feel like they always play up to competition. I feel like they're always beating the Bucks. They beat the Sixers, I think, a couple times this year. I mean,
I don't know if it was a Harden-filled Sixers team. I mean, we'll see. True, as long as they're in the playoffs, I think it'll be fun.
Yep.
Nothing better than MSG during playoff time.
Oh, yeah.
So you got a West underdog?
I went with the Pelicans. I mean, they were so hot to start the year. And obviously, the injury to Zion, another guy, can this guy stay healthy? I think Ingram missed time as well. I think both of them were out. They lost lost 10 in a row or something like that. So, I mean, everyone's kind of writing them off. I guess they're like an underdog pick. I mean, and no one obviously expects
so.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good pick. I mean, if they're healthy,
yeah, they're 7th. They're a playing team right now. That's an underdog.
If they were high up. If they're healthy, they stay in that same form. I think there's a good chance that they can make a little bit of a run. I mean, they're a fun team, young team. I think they're definitely my pick. I could see them making a little bit of a run. They're 17-12 with Zion, which isn't amazing. But I mean,
Zion's a beast.
I mean, it was Zion, Ingram. I mean, I think they can easily make a good run. Definitely win at least a playoff series.
Zion's got to go on that summer cut though.
Yeah.
And I know fat Zion is fine too, but he can't be that big of a boy, especially being in the NBA.
Well, yeah. I mean, what's his injury now? I mean, I don't even know what he has.
I don't know if it's knee. It was foot last year. I don't know if it's knee or something. But I don't know. He always looks just starving. He always looks like he's looking for food. I love Zion. But I could just see him just wanting to
it's his foot.
Gumbo.
His foot.
Or it's Mardi Gras. How crazy do you think he went on Fat Tuesday in New Orleans?
Yeah.
He went nuts before Lent. Well, I don't know if he's Catholic, but he probably went absolutely insane on Fat Tuesday, especially since he's hurt. He probably doesn't have to do any like cardio or lifting sessions with them. So I like the Pelicans. They're a fun team, very fun team. When everything's clicking for them, they're a fun team. But I don't think it happens because Zion is out because of too much Fat Tuesday ice cream.
Hamstring strain. Sorry.
It's all lower body stuff. And
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
fair, the one big critique of Zion coming out of Duke was the amount of pure force he was
Right.
putting on his lower body because of his explosiveness and the way he would come down. People did. I remember all the draft experts were saying that, and normally they're wrong, but they were right this time. But you're right. If everything clicks, and that's why they're a dark horse and not a favorite in our dark.
Yeah, win a
run.
playoff series, maybe 2, maybe they'll make a deep run. You never know. So
I like it.
Your East.
My East is the Heat, and you were not happy with this. And this just comes down
Yeah.
to the Pat Riley philosophy, the
That's your boy.
Spoelstra. Pat Riley is my boy. Pat Riley is definitely my boy.
Your boy.
Eric Spoelstra, my guy. Eric Spoelstra started out as a video assistant for the Heat.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
became head coach.
managing coaching wise, great team, of course.
And if there's any coach who knows playoff experience, it's him. Out of
Mhm.
the East, Butler turns it on when it's playoff time. You're going to get that famous photo of him lying down over the stanchion again, just putting in all his effort. I mean, who knows what Kevin Love is going to do? I think one of the best things about social media is Twitter overreacting to a certain signing. Like Kevin Love won't be the make or break reason this team makes a playoff run. It comes down to the way the organization is run. Bam Adebayo is a beast.
Mhm.
I have no idea what's up with Duncan Robinson. Does he signed that absolutely insanity of a contract a couple of years back, but I have no idea what's up with him.
I know Tyler Hero starts. There's no way they start both of them, right? I mean, we sound dumb now, but like they have those two guys making what?
We don't sound dumb. I'm not spending my Wednesday nights watching Duncan
What Miami
Robinson.
Heat
Sorry.
game? Let's see.
Who knows? Who cares?
They're
Who
your
cares
dark.
what Duncan Robinson's
They're your
doing?
dark horse. You should care.
No, but like playoff time. I don't care what the Heat do in the regular season as long as they're in. They were in the conference finals last year, and they made the finals 2 years ago, whenever the bubble was.
That was Well, it was
When was it?
Buck. Who won last year?
The Warriors.
Why? Oh, so it was 3 years ago. Yeah,
Alright,
it was
whatever.
Warriors, Bucks. Then
Heat culture, baby. Kyle Lowry still good?
they were trying to trade him.
If anybody's listening right now as an NBA expert, let me know. Or if you're a Miami Heat expert, so you can give me some valid points on whether he might actually make a real surprising dark run. Okay, so let's move on to the West here. It's the Sacramento Kings. Light the beam. Mike Brown hasn't been a head coach since when? The LeBron first stint Cavalier days? Having a fantastic, I would assume you didn't have Coach of the Year. Maybe you can look that up while I'm doing this. I want to look up Coach of the Year odds. I would assume he's up there for favorite. I mean, probably Mike Malone's up there. But Mike Brown in his coaching return, he was a Warriors assistant for so long. De'Aaron Fox, all-star, right? Or no, was he not? I don't know.
I think Fox was
all-star.
Him and Sabonis, I think.
Sabonis. Forgot about Sabonis.
Both of them, I think.
Yeah, that Sabonis Halliburton trade might be like one of those works out for both sides because both all-stars. I mean, the Kings' success is way better than the Pacers' success.
Mike Brown and Joe Mazzulla both at 200 plus 200.
They're favorites?
Yep, they're the two favorites. And Michael Malone at plus 325, and then Taylor Jenkins at plus 500.
Who's Taylor Jenkins?
He's the Grizzlies coach. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna add that in as my. We're gonna do a little parlay here. Kings to make the finals and Mike Brown to win Coach of the Year. I think it's gonna happen. Mazzulla's so boring. Didn't Udoka win it last year? Look how that turned out.
I mean, they just fully hired Mazzulla like this week.
Yeah, it was weird.
Like I didn't.
Why'd
know,
they wait so long?
I didn't know. Well, I guess like wait until All-Star break.
Joe Mazzulla looks like the 2K guy that's right out of the box.
I like him. He's a good guy. I like him.
Like the cut, like the facial hair, it looks like very video gamey. He kind of looks like Michael B. Jordan's character in 2K17.
I haven't played 2K.
Like yeah, but no, he just looks like a My Park guy, like the generic My Park guy, Joe Mazzulla.
Yeah, but he can coach though. So
no, it doesn't matter what you look like. He's just got to be better around the front office members or whoever works for the female employees at the Celtics. Then he'll keep his job. Not really about NBA coaching at that point. But let's get back to the Kings. I think the Kings coming out of the West, surprisingly, if you ask somebody at the start of the year, where do you think the Kings will end up? I mean, they were a frisky playoff contender with Mike Brown, with Fox and Sabonis getting another year together. You probably would have said 7, 8 seed fringe playoff team. They're third in the West right now. Now, the West is jam-packed. There's 2-game separation between the 3rd seed and the 8th seed. So a lot could change from now until April. But the Kings playoff environment, I mean, the fan environment there is like a playoff game. every single game.
Yeah,
It's
mhm.
nuts.
Like the
You watch the
beam.
Twitter clips, light the beam, light the damn beam. Like you watch the Twitter clips, they are rocking almost every single game. I don't know what else goes on in Sacramento. I assume that's probably all they do
Yeah.
is root for the Kings.
Isn't like Shaq like a part owner or something of the team?
Really?
He had some involvement because they used to make fun of the Kings inside the
And he would
NBA.
get mad.
Yeah, but
Oh,
I think he has something to do
surprised
with
out of all those endorsement deals. Over under how many Shaquille O'Neal commercials do you see a day? 4?
Yeah,
The general, whatever else he does.
he's in that the ink, that like new printer thing too.
I got to check it out. I'm
Yeah,
missing out. I don't see
I got
enough
a
of
YouTube
Shaquille
ad for it
O'Neal.
yesterday. So
Don't see enough Shaquille O'Neal on
all
my
right, if you bet $100 on, I don't know if you could do this. I'm sure you could, on the Kings to win and Mike Brown to win the Coach of the Year. $100 wins $39K.
do it.
You
Do
do
it.
it. You should do it.
Who's ever I'll put my money where my mouth is. Why wouldn't the Kings win the title? God knows what's going to happen this year. I love how we didn't even talk about the Suns and they were like the biggest deal after the trade deadline.
As hard as I haven't seen Durant play in what? Weeks,
Oh, I'm not worried about
months?
Durant.
No?
No. He fits in with everybody. He'll be fine.
I mean, obviously, Durant's one of my favorite athletes
What would
ever.
you call him if he's one of your favorites?
He's one of my favorites.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, they're actually a good value pick too. I mean, they're the third highest.
No, I just realized we spent the last 40 minutes
That
talking
is
about
true.
NBA.
We haven't said anything about
Kevin
the
Durant was the
Suns.
biggest news of the trade deadline week. We didn't talk about 1 second.
Well,
of it.
we got a quote. We got his quote.
Yeah,
at the
we'll get
end.
to that. I
Yeah.
can't stand this guy. All right, so those are our favorite underdogs out of the West and the East.
Kind of wraps up the NBA.
So we'll come back to this when the finals start.
We'll keep our receipts.
Do we have an official finals prediction from each of us? We both have Bucks coming out of the East. So you have the Clippers coming out of the West, I assume?
I got Bucks Clippers.
Bucks
I'll do it.
Clippers.
I'll do it.
I have Bucks. Bucks Suns. Rematch of 2 years ago. Why not?
Yeah.
Bucks Mavericks.
That would be fun. That would be really fun, actually. I would definitely. I mean, I'm gonna obviously watch the playoffs, but I would get very, very intrigued by Bucks.
I can see it. Why
Definitely.
not? Go Giannis. I'm a big Giannis guy.
I like Giannis too. Yeah.
All right,
He
so now we
deserves it.
have our little miscellaneous segment. This is actually a really good segment. Credit to Chris. You should
Mhm.
really be talking about this because I find this very interesting. It's a very good debate. So
Question is, who wins the MVP and championship first between two of the most hyped up players in all of American sports, Luka Doncic or Josh Allen? Who's your MVP? Who wins MVP first?
MVP. Okay, we're gonna just do MVP straight up. Huh. It won't be Luka this year,
Mm-hmm.
but
They were the two favorites going into the year for both sports.
if Jokic wins his third, that means voting fatigue is completely. There's no way he wins 4. I'm gonna come back
No
to this in a
way.
bit, right? And Josh Allen, on the other hand, Mahomes just won his second. Very unlikely he goes. But then Hurts is also going to have a lot of hype going into him for
Burrow.
next season. Burrow.
Mhm.
So, like, I would honestly argue that Luka's odds-on favorite next year to start the season, and Josh Allen's probably 4. I'll go Luka. Luka for MVP.
I would definitely pick Luka for MVP, just because it's. I feel like it's easy. It feels weird to say this, but it's easier for Luka to win MVP than it is for Allen.
I think so.
I mean, Luka was, I think at the beginning of the year, I think he might have been a favorite at some point. Not like obviously before the season he was the favorite, but like even I think maybe a month in, then he go through. There was a stretch where he scored like 40 I think in a row. There was 3 games where he scored 40, and then he kept scoring.
Remember didn't he have a 60-point triple-double?
60-point game, something like. Yeah, so I mean, if Luka, obviously he's not going to do that every game, but if you have somewhat of a down season from Jokic, and Embiid, say maybe he gets hurt or just isn't on top to ball on what he is right now, and you get an amazing season from Luka next year, I totally see him winning. And Allen, I just think it's a lot.
So much.
There's so many more
talent.
factors for an NFL MVP, and with so many, like you said, so many great quarterbacks and stuff.
That's a good point. You missed 10 NBA games, you're fine. You missed 3 NFL games. Jalen Hurts. I'm pretty sure Jalen Hurts was the favorite before he got hurt.
Yeah, or if you have two bad games, if you have 2 bad games,
yeah,
you're done.
You're done.
You're done. So
That's the best Monday morning conversation. If a player has a bad game, they go back from being like an MVP level quarterback to being just objectively bad. Those are classics. All right, so we both agree that it's going to be Luka Doncic to win an MVP first. Now I want to hear what you have to say about
the
championship.
championship, as much as it pains me to say, I think Allen has a better chance of winning championship first, just because the Bills team is better compared to in the NFL compared to the Mavericks and the NBA, and I think they just have a better upside. So as a Patriots fan, it does pain me to say I think Josh Allen has a very, very good chance of winning a ring in the next 5 years. So I'm going to go with Allen on a championship pick.
Do you also think it comes down to, and this sounds so weird, but like a mathematical factor of it, where in football you can be a 6 seed and just win 2 games in a row, and all of a sudden you could be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Whereas basketball playoffs, like you have to beat the same exact team 4 times, while that other team can make adjustments after every single game. In football, it's just one game; anything can happen.
Yeah,
I think,
like you said, you need to win 16 for the NBA.
Yeah.
For this, it's
that's where I also think it comes down to,
Mhm.
because I mean, yes, if you ask, like, just in terms of, now it's tough to compare an NBA roster to an NFL roster, but the Bills are better set up in their current position to win a championship than the Mavericks are, especially with Kyrie becoming a free agent at the end of this season. But I don't know. I think it also just comes down to the football aspect of it, where any given Sunday mentality. Shout out Al Pacino.
Yeah.
Shout out Al Pacino.
Well, think about if you play that Bengals-Bills game 10 times, you're probably going to get 5 Bengals wins, 5 Bills wins. Like,
you think so?
I think so. I mean, look.
Did you not watch the divisional round? That was like a rout. That was the biggest 10-point rout ever.
I just think. I mean, I hope the Bills don't win, but like you said, it's just one game. So
I think in terms of this past season, well, obviously we know what happened in Monday Night Football, but the Bengals-Bills divisional game, if you played that game 10 times, I think the Bengals win 9. Like, that was clear and obvious. Depending how many opportunities the Bills get to, like, game plan or, like, readjust their game plan, but I thought that was a Bengals route. But I
was very happy with it. So
I do think the Bills and Josh Allen have a better chance of winning more than Luka. Did Luka sign his extension yet?
I'm not sure.
He had to, because he had to be done in 4 years, and he's in his 18, 19.
Oh, he did,
20,
yeah,
20,
and then
21,
he probably is,
yeah.
like 3 years.
Well, it's a crazy max extension,
Yeah.
right? It's like 4 or 5 years.
Think about how much he's gonna get the next one.
Yeah, no,
because he's gonna have all the accolades, be on a team for what, like 8 years now. I mean, he's gonna be making like 70. Watch, he's gonna make. I guarantee he's gonna be making like 65.
No, I don't think
a
it's
year.
inconceivable to see, like, we already are in the ages of 50, when 10 years ago, I don't think anybody's making more than 30, 33.
Yeah. Curry's what, like 53 or something?
Yeah, it will before the end of this decade, we'll see 75. I think so too. Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. But if the CBAs keep going up and the money for revenue keeps going up, then I don't see why not.
Yeah.
So that's a very good debate. So it's basically split evenly. Obviously, I think most players and most professional athletes would agree they'd rather have the championship than the MVP. But we did split it half and half for MVP for Luka and Josh Allen for the Super Bowl championship. Do you want me to read this, or should we wrap it up? We can save it.
We can do this one pretty quick.
So I just want to.
This is more of a you talking point.
Yeah, I just want to discuss this really quickly. We're running out on time. Thank you to everybody who listened, by the way. Hope you enjoyed our second episode. Tune in next week at 5 p.m. If you have any comment on the YouTube channel, if you have any suggestions for show ideas, or even if you want to hop on, we got an extra desk right there.
Mic 2.
Yeah, Mic 2. You can be Mic 2 if you ever want to discuss something. Doesn't have to be sports related. I'll talk about anything. So we can talk about the Kevin Durant thing next week. It's fine.
We can open up with that. We'll open up with that.
We'll see what happens, because I think we're going to get into even worse sports news cycles to talk about. All right, maybe
that's true. Yeah,
maybe we'll do a little
save everything we got.
Spring training recap next week. Maybe a little. See what up with Yankees prospects. How exciting! No, we're gonna do a March Madness preview. That will be coming up soon. We'll do more baseball as we get closer to opening day. But that was a really good episode.
It was.
A lot of NBA. Take our picks. Do the Kings pick. I think that's an automatic winner.
100 wins $39K. Free money right there.
As free money as you can get. Now, if you don't have $100 to spend, gamble responsibly. But I think it's a lock. And you can come find me on campus if it doesn't hit. You can beat me up for free. All right. Thank you.
Connor will pay you back. Connor will pay you back $100 if it doesn't hit.
If you show me your receipt, I'll get you something at Specs. I got you. All right. Thank you for listening to Guys Talking Ball week 2. We will be back on these airwaves next Wednesday from 5 to 6. Have a good weekend. Peace.